All right, fishing with jerkbaits, cold water, okay? Wintertime coming, the water temperature dropping below 42, below 40, into the high 30s, depending on where you are. A lot of guys are going to reach for the jerkbait. If you've been following the channel, following the YouTube channel, you know at this time of year I have a specific pattern that I actually like to employ, and that is a trout pattern. And the reason why is in my part of the country, in the mid-Atlantic, the states primarily begin to stock trout in the fall. Okay, they start in late October, run it through November. Those new fingerling, stocking trout are in your. It doesn't matter whether it's a reservoir, lake reservoir, or your river system. And so I always like to reach. And if you follow these videos, you followed along the very like trout patterns that we stock here. The trout that get stocked here are rainbow trout, brown trout, and golden trout. Those are the primary trout that get stocked, okay? So I always like to employ that color pattern this time of year because they stocked 14, 15, 16,000 trout in lakes and reservoirs throughout the region. And you can get that data from your state DNR or DWR, where they're through their stocking program, where maybe in your state they have stocked during the late fall. They do this because of the cold water temperatures. Okay. Now, rainbow trout, some different variations. See the different changes in color on these trout. And then for the goldens, though, it's a different type of pattern. Obviously, I don't want to go for that goldfish color. Just don't have confidence in that. So I like a gold. Okay, these all three are successful jerkbaits that have caught both smallmouth and largemouth in the fall and winter during this time frame. This year, though, I have late summer into fall. I figured out another pattern on the jerkbait. I like to throw the jerkbait year round. You guys know that. Is to use the 110 juniors. Anything small. This is your standard size, jerkbait that you're going to find. Lucky Craft, Mega Bass, okay, all the standard jerkbaits that you're going to find, like your big box aisle, your shell from big mass producers, okay. But and they are, obviously bass catchers, okay. But what I found for smallmouth, for me, is that 110 junior size or any smaller type jerkbait. You can see the difference in size here, okay? Not only in size length, but also width, body width, okay? And for those smallmouth that are really aggressive, this bait, and then always go, if you live in the mid-Atlantic region, always have in your arsenal a golden shiner style jerkbait, okay? Because the shiners are usually always present. They're a lot more prevalent in the summertime and early fall than maybe the wintertime because of the water temps, but the coloration pattern is still really high effective. So rainbow trout and your golden shiner pattern, thread thin shad pattern, okay, anything with that olive drab and gold are going to be really highly effective. And I just target that based on forage species. I know a lot of other anglers like to go with those bright colors, but a lot of times in our region this time of year, like today, it's a drizzle, it's an overcast. We're going to get, cloud cover for weeks on end just because of the season. You're up in the mountains at these highland reservoirs. This is what happens, mist and everything. And those bright colors are really, I believe, meant for more for the spring and summer with the sun and with beautiful bluebird skies and all that kind of stuff. They just seem to be more effective to me than in the late fall and winter when you can dial in these forage species. These are what the bass are feeding on, okay, in your for us, Western Maryland reservoirs, down in Virginia, Central Virginia reservoirs, they're more shad and blueback herring. They're dwindling off now with the wintertime. Dead stopping bait fish. That's what you're going after. And especially now with all the technology that people are using today, Jerkbaits are becoming even more effective, okay? Especially if you can get them a little bit lower. And you can do that by changing up your line. For example, I predominantly throw P-line fishing line. It's my favorite line. I've tried others and I've switched from others because it's multi-dimensional in terms of if I want to keep this jerkbait high in the water column, which is pretty much traditionally what you're going to get with the lighter style, low diver like jerkbait. I'll go with P-line top water fishing line. It's called top water. Okay, its buoyancy, I believe, is the best on the market. At least of the lines I've tried, half a dozen or so lines I've tried. So it's buoyant. Never had a break off. That resistance and that buoyancy is really great to keep that jerkbait where you want it. Okay, especially in that top of that water column, which is kind of what you want when they're feeding up. Now, obviously, now we're getting into December coming up, and that feeding frenzy may slow down a little bit, but you'll be targets of opportunity will be those bait fish that aren't going to make it. Water temperatures are coming down. They're slow. They're moving. And those bass are going to come up and feed. So that's just a couple. This is just a technique that I like to use. It's highly effective in our region. It may be as effective or less effective depending on where you live in the country. In terms of that rainbow trout hack, like in terms of just using that tactic of rainbow trout oriented baits, color patterns, because your state's been stocking those trout throughout the fall, and the bass know it. Like, you know what I mean? They push them back up. They'll push them back up into the creeks. They'll push them back up against the bank. They'll trap them in, and they'll just over days at a time, will feed on those the new stockings and obviously other bait fish as we get closer and closer to that really first like ice and snow that's on the horizon. All right, mates.